Hey guys, and welcome back to our series on How to Arcane. In part 1 we looked at setting up your build, choosing a level, and your damage output for spells in particular. In part 2 we're going to be looking at arcane mechanics and scaling when it comes to gems and your weapons. In order to eke out the maximum damage for your build, you need to understand the nitty-gritty. Hopefully, this will help you decide on which gems to hunt for so you don't waste countless hours in chalice dungeons farming for the wrong gems. I'll start by looking at 50 arcane and the damage output from weapons, give you some conclusions and move on to 70 arcane and then 99 arcane, followed by some weapon setups and builds. Now, for gems, the most powerful gems that you can get are 9.8% elemental gems with a 72.5 flat element, 23.1% element gem with 36 flat points, 24.8% element gems plus 10 to 15 flat, 21.5% nourishing gems with 14% flat, 14 flat, and 27.2% gems. Let's start with scaling mechanics at 50 arcane and compare the damage returns on some of these gems. At 50 arcane, with a B scaling weapon, the AR for two gems, the nourishing and the flat arcane, results in 249. Let's compare the AR returns against the flat and the 27% gem. If we add the most powerful waning gem we have, the AR is 170. Compared with the 9.5% and flat arcane gem, it's outclassed by 9 points. Compared with the 27% gem, and it wins by 18 points. Note I'm not adding the additional bolt bonus because the bolt gem would be removed. But both the nourishing and the 27% gem both result in 152 AR. Let's add the cold abyssal to give us S scaling. By adding the nourishing gem, it gives us 256 AR. The waning bolt gem 275, and compared to the 9% flat arcane gem and the 27, the powerful waning bolt gem wins hands down by 2 points and 14 points respectively. The nourishing gem with S scaling is the worst, but the addition of the cold abyssal adds 105 AR. So what can we conclude from this? Gems with additional flat elemental damage give better returns than the 27% gem at regular scaling. The addition of a cold abyssal gem means better returns when the gem itself has at least 21.5% and flat damage added in excess of 14 points. Many abyssal waning gems found in the Loran Chalice will give you 23.9% plus 14 damage. The unique bolt abyssal gem we used gives double the flat damage. Abyssal triangle gems from the Eyes dungeon will give you a maximum of 24.8% plus 10 to 14 additional damage, as well as some of the radial gems, in particular the fire abyssal. You can also get flat elemental gems in both dungeons. Okay, let's move on to 70 arcane, and starting with C scaling, let's add the 27.2% bolt gem. The 23.9% plus 8 just beats it out because the physical damage scales to plus 13. The 22.3% plus 13 loses out, but the 9.1% plus 67.5 flat arcane wins by 15 AR. Now let's add the cold abyssal. And getting S scaling, we can see that the bolt AR jumps by 147 over the 83 had we added a 22.3% bolt gem. Again, the 23.9% gem's physical damage scales, but now the gems have equal ARs. The 22.3 plus 13 still loses out, as does the 67.5 flat arcane gem. So in conclusion, with the 70 arcane at C scaling, the flat arcane gem wins. Add the cold abyssal, however, and the 27% gem wins. Moving on to B scaling, compared with the 27% gem, the flat arcane gem wins by 5 AR, but by adding a cold abyssal bolt gem, the additional AR jumps by 158 instead of the 97 offered by the 22.3% bolt gem. And this time, regardless of the physical scaling, the 27% gem wins across the board, and by 10 points or more. If we look at A scaling, without the abyssal, the flat arcane gem just wins by 1 AR with the 27% gem and the 23.9% plus 13 resulting in similar ARs. With the Abyssal, the flat Arcane gem comes off the worst, with the 23.9% gem plus 13 coming within 3 AR of the 27% gem. So in conclusion, at 70 Arcane, 27% gems will be victorious, providing you have increased the weapon scaling with a Cold Abyssal gem to get your S. Without the Abyssal, you're better off with higher base damage adding gems. It's also interesting to note that gems with additional physical damage will scale. And although I haven't used it in this example, the Abyssal Bolt gem with plus 32 will win out regardless of S scaling or natural scaling on your weapons. Finally, let's move on to 99 Arcane, and note I'm using the same character with the same gems and weapons in this example. With C scaling, the 9.1% plus 67.5 gem wins by 13 AR, followed by the 23.9% plus 13. By adding a Cold Abyssal gem, the 23.9% plus 13 is only 1 AR less than the 27% gem, with the 9.1% plus 67.5 losing out by 10 AR. If we take a look at B scaling, we can see that the 23.9% plus 13 beats the 27% gem by 1 AR, and the flat gem wins overall by 3 AR. When we add the Cold Abyssal, the AR jumps by 173 compared to the 101 offered by the 22% Bolt gem. And with their scaling, the flat Arcane gem fares the worst, with the 23.9 plus 13 coming in a close second by 3 AR. Interestingly, at A scaling, the 23.9% plus 13, the 9.1% plus 67.5, and the 27 all have the same AR output, and a Cold Abyssal added will give you an additional 165 AR compared to the 106 from a 22% Bolt gem. At S scaling, the 27% gem thus beats the 23.9 plus 13 by 3 AR, and the 9.1 plus 67.5 by 23 AR. So what does all of this mean? Well, firstly we can see that Arcane scales all the way up to 99 with both weapons and tools. At 50 Arcane, flat damaging gems are better. At 70 and 99 Arcane, you want gems that have around 23% plus 14 damage. You ideally want gems with base physical damage, as this will scale ever so slightly and add to any visceral attacks you do. Don't forget that nourishing gems also add to visceral attack damage. 27% gems only garner great rewards at 70 plus Arcane or with S scaling, and in all instances, adding a Cold Abyssal gem will result in an additional 105 to 175 AR to your weapon depending on your Arcane stat. Moving on to some of my builds. My first build is my Ludwig Holy Blade build. It is kitted out with Arcane gems, an S-scaling weapon, and 777 AR in total on this weapon. The second weapon is a Bolt Kirkhammer, also with S-scaling. And the backup weapon is the Moonlight Holy Sword. You'll note that I've got 2 nourishing gems in the first 2 slots to assist me with not only physical damage but also visceral attack damage. The final gem is a base level add Arcane gem. This next build is my Rakuyo build, which is just enough skill to carry the Rakuyo, kitted out with bolt gems, including the middle gem, which is a nourishing gem, which I farmed with bolt, as well as an S-scaling gem with bolt as well. I've got just enough stamina to swing this 3 times and the spinning attack L2. My final build to show you is my max arcane build at 120, which is my Squiddy with a threaded cane and the Cos Parasite kitted out with maximum arcane gems.